Have you ever stopped to notice how often animals show up in human life, even when there are no animals around? We drive them, we wear them, we cheer for them, we read about them, we describe ourselves through them. Mustang, ram, cougar, rabbit, panthers, broncos, dolphins, Bengals, they're everywhere. But here's the question I want to ask in this episode. Why? Why do we name so much of our world after animals? And maybe even more interesting, why do those names feel right? In this episode of Animals' Sacred Wisdom, I'm not asking you to believe anything. I'm simply asking you to notice what's already there. Because once you start to see how deeply animals are woven into our language, our identity, and our culture, it becomes harder to believe they're just background to human life. They're not. They're part of how we understand ourselves. Before we named our cars, before we named our football teams, before cartoons, cereal mascots, children's books, and company logos, humans looked into the wild and saw themselves. Let's consider the association with some of the most visibly known animals. Strength implied and represented by bears, lions, wolves. Speed with mustangs and hawks. Loyalty, thus the dog. Transformation, butterflies. Wisdom, owls. Freedom, eagles and dolphins. In episode 1, I shared information about rabbits. I spoke of them being underestimated as a courageous animal, but they are most used to represent sensitivity and intuition. Animals have expanded our culture, our memories, our identities within our storytelling, and in sports, transportation, childhood, and symbolism. We choose them because something in us recognizes something in them. Our cars and trucks are named after animals for the quality manufacturers can convey through our immediate understanding of what animal they choose. For instance, a Ford Bronco, a wild horse, suggests ruggedness. A Mercury Cougar, of course a feline, suggests luxury and speed. Dodge Ram trucks, named for the male sheep, a symbol of strength. The Volkswagen Rabbit, named for its quickness. Plymouth Barracuda, named after a predatory fish known for speed and strength. We identify ourselves with the animals and what that conveys in the car or truck we are drawn to. When we name football, basketball, baseball teams, we use the meaning of animals to identify the teams to make them recognizable. The Carolina Panthers, Chicago Bears, Detroit Tigers, Philadelphia Eagles, Miami Dolphins, Atlanta Falcons, Seattle Seahawks, just to name a few. Once I started noticing this, I couldn't stop seeing it everywhere. We connect their strengths to what we love. We are naming things after the wild. And think about books, animal cartoons, and characters, for instance. There's Mickey Mouse, Bugs Bunny, Snoopy, Garfield, Tony the Tiger, Roadrunner, Paddington Bear, Winnie the Pooh, Scooby-Doo, and Yogi Bear. Even Zoom offers animal face filters. Because I've done an episode on rabbits, it wasn't surprising how many things have been named for them, from books to cartoons to art and advertising. Are you familiar with Velveteen Rabbit? Have you heard of the Easter Bunny, the Playboy Bunny, the Energizer Bunny, or heard White Rabbit by Jefferson Airplane, or seen Beatrix Potter's popular illustrations in Alice in Wonderland? Moby Dick by Herman Melville, Animal Farm by George Orwell, Black Beauty by Anna Sewell, Of Mice and Men by John Steinbeck, Life of Pi, or The Cat in the Hat. It's hard to miss them now, right? We are saturated in identifying ourselves, our creations, with animals. And depending on what generation you were brought up, there are dances named after animals, many from the 20th century. Turkey trot, foxtrot, bunny hop, the pony, and art is everywhere in paintings, photographs, and drawings. Animals were deities in mythology, And as cats continue to remind us, in Egypt they were worshipped as gods, and don't you forget it. Animals share their image and spirit in all of human culture. Their representation throughout all of our creations means they are everywhere, influencing how we feel, how we think, and who we want to identify with. Yes, animals are woven into every part of human civilization, and I want to be a part of sharing how this deep integration shapes your very life. Part of my connection in understanding animals was a venture into reading animal medicine cards 30 years ago. They represent the deeper meaning of animals within our lives and what they represented when you contemplated their historical significance, mainly from the Native American culture, is everything to understanding our connection. You don't have to own a specific deck of cards to contemplate why you were drawn to any animal. There's so much to know and appreciate about these animals. Count on me including celebrating the wisdom from many cultures on the sacredness of animals, because lest you forget, we humans are animals too. We share this planet with animals. We seek safety, family, connection, rest, survival. Maybe that's why we recognize ourselves in them so easily. We humans borrow the identity of animals to describe ourselves because maybe we can try to simplify our emotions and needs if we understand we're not alone. We can observe the struggles of animals and their joyful behavior and believe we can overcome our own challenges through witnessing how animals behave. They are here, perhaps on an unconscious level, to guide us through our lives. This show is not about just a collection of animal references. The more you know, the more you understand about your connection with animals, the more meaningful your own life becomes. So if we name our cars after animals, our teams after animals, our stories, our traits, even our emotions, then animals are not separate from us. They're already part of how we think. They're part of how we describe strength, fear, instinct, loyalty, speed, gentleness. We don't choose them randomly. We choose them because something in us recognizes something in them, a reflection. And if that's true, if animals are already part of how we understand ourselves, then what does it mean when an animal shows up repeatedly in your life? Not in a logo, not in a story, but in your actual lived experience. That's where the podcast is going. Because animals are not background to human life, they are teachers within it. And the next time you notice one, really notice one, you might begin to ask a different question. Not, what is that animal doing here, but what is it showing me? Thank you for spending this time with me. If today's episode spoke to you, I hope you'll follow Animal Sacred Wisdom and share it with someone who loves animals, nature, or the deeper connections we often overlook. Next episode, we'll explore the butterfly, transformation, memory, and the mystery of whether butterflies somehow remember the caterpillar they once were. Until then, listen, reflect, connect, because the animals around us may be revealing more about ourselves than we ever realized.